welcome back to Woodruff Woods. Hey, I'm Darren, and today we're going to try something a little different. We're going to pit old versus new. I'm going to take some of my saw collection here, and we're going to see the difference between the previous version of the XP saws, the professional saws made by Husqvarna, versus the new XPs. So we're going to see a 346 XP versus a 550 XP, and then we're going to take the 372 XP and put it up against the 572 XP. Behind me I have a log on the Grapple. It is a poplar log. It's not the toughest wood in the world, so this isn't really about a speed test about how fast it goes through wood as much as saw versus saw, how fast it goes through wood. We have had 40 days and 40 nights of rain, it seems. Actually, we have just had a massive amount of rain. We're probably around 5 inches of rain over the past 4 or 5 days. And so everything's really soggy. It's really hard to get anything done. So I thought this was a good time to test out the saws, see what they do. Did want to follow up on one thing. My Bud Light video, which was 2 videos ago. It's really gotten a lot of traction, got a lot of comments. I appreciate all of you that commented. I appreciate all you new subscribers as well. I'm going to give an update on that as well this week, I believe, if I can get enough time. For those of you that have been watching for a while, you know I travel a fair amount, and I'm hitting my travel season again. So it gets a little hard for me to get videos out on a regular basis. Try to do at least 1 a week, sometimes 2. And in a rare occasion, I get 3 out in a week. We're gonna get started with this. I'm gonna get the saws warmed up, and we'll start putting them to the test. I think we're gonna notice a difference in sound with these 2 different saws. The AutoTune sounds don't sound right to me, but they seem to cut faster. So I'm trying to get this in between rain showers, and I'll turn you around, you can see what I'm facing. It's not looking good that I get this in, so I don't think I'm gonna switch bars on the small saws. We'll get an idea what they're like without doing that. So get the camera set up, we'll get started. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make 3 cuts on this, and we'll do 3 cuts with the 550. 346 XP. I don't know if I can see the year on it. I don't believe it's showing me the year here. But I will say this saw has seen a lot of wood. This is my first professional saw, and used it for a number of years as kind of my only saw. And so literally probably hundreds of cords of wood. So see what it does against 550. So I think those last 2 cuts were faster than the first one, but we'll see when we go to the tape, and I'll post those right here. I've switched the bar and chain over, so everything's the same. The only difference is the power head. So let's do it. Kept binding up on me, but we'll make one more cut just to kind of get that 3rd cut down. There, that was more like I'm used to cutting with this saw. So not sure what the tape will show here, but you'll be seeing it right here. Comparison between 346 XP probably around a 2005 model, and this is a 2021 or 2022 model. So, you know, essentially 15 to 20 years difference, and we'll see how much faster this cuts with the AutoTune. Yeah, we'll start with the 572 on this next one, and then I'll switch the bar and chain over to the 372. So just for comparison purposes, I want you to hear this saw when it started up. It's like glug, 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 glug. I'm going to start the 572 and show you, or 372 and show you the difference. But I'm going to let this warm up first. So this is what the 372 sounds like. Just a better sound, but I think it has something to do with the with that whole AutoTune thing. I was talking to a Husqvarna rep at the Paul Bunyan show, and I said, I thought you were killing off the 372. He said, we've tried. He goes, our customers just want them. And they're known as one of the most reliable, durable saws. As a matter of fact, you'll see a lot of professionals still use these out in the woods. And I'll tell you what, my experience so far is the 572 is a better saw. So I do think there is something to do with this AutoTune, and the idea that with the 372 you can adjust the carburetor with a tool versus 572 you have to take it back to the dealer and hook the computer to it. All right, we're going to do this backwards. We're going to do, before we get the 346, the old carbureted saw, just adjustments you can use, versus the AutoTune 550 XP. We're going to take the 572 XP, cut first with this one, and I've left the 372 over there warming up since I was talking while it wasn't warming up, and trying to make this as fair as possible. So I'm going to make a couple cuts with this, and then we'll do just like we did the other one and come back to the carburetor side. Actually, make no mistake, they're both carburetors. This one's just computer controlled. Substantial difference from the 50cc saw, and I purposely chose the 50 and 70cc because I think they're the most common saws. If someone's cutting firewood and they want to step up to a professional saw, it tends to be one of these two. Now, I do know that there's a 562 that Husky's got out there that a lot of people say is a really good saw. I've never used it. I know in the steel line there's also a 60cc saw, but it seems like you see a lot of the 261s, a lot of the 550s, 572s, 400 or 460s. So these are real common size saws, and this gives you an idea of, you know, should you pick up that one that's used or maybe buy something new. I'm back with the 372, and I have this light bar on here. I cannot believe how much better the saw feels in my hands. So when we get done with the testing here, I'm gonna run over to my buddy's place, and we're gonna weigh a couple different bars and just see how much better this is than the bars that I had that were not light bars. But anyway, let's get you started on this. So again, this is an adjustable carb, no AutoTune, same bar and chain that we used on the 572. Here we go. So I got to tell you, I'm not sure there's a whole lot of difference here. And with the first one, the first comparison, it almost felt to me like the 346 was faster, but we'll see when we go to the tape. And I do think I had those rakers down a little low on that first chain I was using on the 550, and it was causing it to bind up. But it still did it when I put the other bar and chain on. So we're gonna let it go as is. And we'll see what each of those cuts how long it took to get each of these. Between the 572 and 372, 572 I do think is slightly faster, but this is very close. And you know, I've got this tuned pretty well. There's no modifications to it. It is stock. All these saws are stock. I'm gonna have to finish this video after I go over to my buddy's place and weigh those bars. He's got a produce stand. You've seen him in other videos. And he's got some nice scales in there. We can get a really good idea of the difference of the bars. I'm gonna clean them up a little bit just to make sure that there's no added weight due to, you know, some gook being in the rail or whatever. So we'll do that. Before I do that though, I want to talk about AutoTune. So what is AutoTune? So AutoTune is Husqvarna's patented brand of computer-controlled carburation. So while you're cutting, that is trying to optimize that carburetor and the mix of the fuel and so on to make sure that you're getting the most out of the saw. When you look at it on a spec sheet, both of these saws have pretty much the same engine in them. It's just really how it's feeding the fuel to it. I think back to when I bought the 346 XP, you know, a guy I knew, he had a 450 or 460 Rancher, and another guy I was cutting wood with had a Farm Boss. And they said, oh, you know, what are you going to do with that little size? So well, we'll see. And in its day, that 346 was a screaming saw. It has, I think the RPMs on that is up around 13,000 or something. I'd have to look to be sure, but it's a screamer. And, you know, that day they were sort of like, wow, you know, I didn't know that a professional saw made that much difference. And frankly, neither did I. I grew up around old, my dad had a home light. Actually, I think he had a couple of those. And then he went over to Huskies. There was even back when I was a little kid, I never really ran these, but the old McCulloughs. They went to the Huskies, and I remember he had a Husky 51 that he used for many years. I think he still has it. I should probably get it down here, clean it up, and get it running again. It would be kind of nice to run a vintage saw. But and it's funny. It's vintage, and it's probably a 1988 or something. So that's the year I graduated, so I'm vintage too. But anyway, let's get over to my buddy's house. Let's get these weighed up, and let's just see the difference. And I'm just so shocked at how much better my 372 feels with that light bar. It feels more balanced, feels you know, before I always felt like I was lifting the front end. I didn't feel like that at all. Just a really nice feel to the saw. I'd say the same thing about the 5 Series saws. That light bar makes a huge difference when you're running it for hours on end. And then the other thing I'd like to say is that you know, these saws, they are professional series. Not everybody needs a professional series. I'm cutting 30 to 50 cord of wood a year. And so, I mean, I'm constantly running a saw. And I mentioned the Ranchers and the Farm Bosses. They are fine saws. They're reliable. They have enough power that the average person is going to cut 3 to 5 cord a year. You're going to be totally happy with that saw. But once you run one of the professional saws, it's just hard to go back. All right, so I'm over here at my buddy Chris's farm now, and we got a scale here behind us, which he weighs produce on, and he just calibrated the scale. So I'm gonna move the camera closer, and I'm gonna show you the difference between this Oregon 24-inch bar and the Husqvarna X-Tough Light Bar, which is actually a Sugihara bar. Try the Oregon bar first. Oregon bar weighs 3 pounds. Well, how do you read that, Chris? 3.21 pounds. And the Tough bar from Sugihara, or Husky, whichever, is 2.78. So about a half pound difference, right? Yep. So there you have it. About a half pound difference on a 24-inch bar. So hey, we're back from my buddy Chris's house. I'm a little surprised that the light bar is only about a half a pound difference from the Oregon bar. I'm going to try this against some of the Husky bars in the future. I only took over the 24-inch bars, and I only have the Oregon in a 24-inch bar. I don't have a standard Husky bar in that length. But before I let you go today, there is something I want to show you. So we often talk about how good this community is, and it is a fantastic community. And people rally around each other, and we root for each other, and we do really good things. And recently, a friend of mine, and you saw some of his equipment in one of my videos, where we got a skidder stuck, and he was running a bulldozer, and his father passed away. And he had a long history in this area of being a logger. It was a sad loss for everyone. His name was Zeb Redman. Robert was his real name, but he went by Zeb. And Zeb was a really good guy, a good, friendly guy. Every time you'd see him, he's the kind of guy that'd buy you a beer. Anyway, he passed away. He had been battling some illnesses, and I just want to put this picture up here and show you what the community did. One of his fellow loggers put him on the back of his triaxle logging truck and took him to his final resting place. I think the people that watch this channel understand what it means to be part of a community, and they understand just what that really means. So I'm not going to try to explain it. I'm just going to say we'll catch you on the next one.